So I'm making this quick video about the upcoming transit of Saturn into Libra. Now this is going to formally happen on November 15th this week. Saturn will poke his head in there initially into Libra. He'll be there for the better part of the next couple of years, next 2.5 years or so, minus a little retrograde time when he goes back into Virgo briefly. But Saturn is exalted in Libra, and what this means is that some of the highest qualities of Saturn come through when he goes through Libra, which include things like reaching out to others when we're fearful and when we're worried and stressed, rather than isolate ourselves and push people away, for instance. Saturn is debilitated in Aries because that's what happens often when Saturn is in Aries, or that's the behavior of Aries. And Saturn is really the energy of our fears and our worries and the things that we carry around and our sort of guilt. Those things lead actually to making us grow up and be mature, because we don't want to keep making the same mistakes over and over again. We don't want to keep, we don't want to stay stuck in the same ruts. But what can happen is we can reach out to try to protect ourselves from that pain and that fear of feeling, the guilt and the stress. Really, Saturn is a Tamasic planet, and what the Tamasic planets do is they protect us. And Saturn protects us through fear, you would say, through avoiding problems. There's a reason that we pay attention to our fear. We can't just judge it and say, oh, fear is bad, you got to choose love and blah blah. That's true if you're a very evolved being, but our fear is there to protect us, because things that can hurt us, we need to be afraid of. If someone starts hurting us a whole lot, or a situation starts hurting us a whole lot, we're healthy to get away from it, because it could be, we have a fear that that thing could actually maybe even kill us. But in response to that, we have to be careful not to cut ourselves off from experience, because we're here to experience life. And so what Saturn does is makes us aware of the unfolding of time unfolding, and the past into the future. We remember the past, and we remember the painful experiences. Saturn's what allows us to remember them, and then how to avoid them, and how to create a container of truth in our life. Saturn is very much about simplicity as well, and getting rid of the things that are superfluous and just concentrating on the things that are the most important. What we have to be careful of with Saturn is that we wind up, we have to be careful not just protecting ourselves against these imagined scenarios. Saturn is very much aware of all of the problems that we may face, like the tangible problems, like a fear of poverty, not having enough money, not having a lot of friends, being alone, not having good health, for instance. These are the fears of Saturn, the tangible, known things of the world. And so, obviously, when Saturn is in Libra, which is where he's going, we actually work with others. Libra is the sign of other people, others in general, and reaching out and forming consensus, forming alliances, making a commitment to preserve the relationships we have, and things like that are very much related to Saturn going through Libra. Culturally, we can see this as the need to turn to each other and for our solutions. Saturn just went through Virgo, which is about all the details and managing all the details of life, potentially worrying so much about all those details, like, I got to make sure I have mine, I got to make sure I get mine. This is the nature of Virgo, is to protect and to make sure that all the little details are in place. When Saturn goes into Libra, it's about reaching out to each other now and making sure that we are conscious of how others feel, and that we're willing to be of service to something higher than just our own needs and our own stress. Virgo has a lot to do with our own kind of stress. It's where we're managing every little routine and every little detail. And Libra is where we connect that to others more. And so Saturn is the planet of maturity, and real maturity comes when we are looking at the true result of time, which is to actually obliterate all form and all matter and just strip away all of the confusion and return us to silence and truth. That's the greatness of Saturn, is it shows us this realm of truth which is deeper than all of the matter of the world. But consequently, we worry about losing the matter of the world. We worry about our health. We worry about our money. And so if we let the fears and stresses of Saturn overwhelm us too much, we wind up not only protected from the outside, but insulated from the outside. Because as soon as we protect ourselves from something, we build a wall. That wall keeps out the danger, but it also keeps out the beauty and the love and the joy. So Saturn is debilitated in Aries because it shows that process of worrying about ourselves and getting angry when we're afraid, and our fears bring up this anger, and rather than our fears bringing up a desire to connect and to communicate and to serve truth and to serve something higher than just our fears of the moment. When we're able to do that, then we're able to make peace with all the injustices of the world. Debilitated Saturn is also a kind of composite of that. I'm not saying just if you have that in your chart, but in general, because it's debilitated in Aries, where we are angry. Aries is an angry sign. Not just angry, but it's where we make very clear black and white, right, wrong, good, bad. And life is very subtle. It's very complicated. It's more complicated than that. And Saturn is where we face these complexities and grapple with the big issues of time and losing everything and loss and fear. So in Aries, when Saturn, for instance, the archetype of Saturn in Aries is to be angry at the injustices of the world. And Saturn is where we feel the injustices of the world. We all feel there are injustices. So rather than collapse into a kind of self-obsessed sense of self-righteousness over it, Saturn is where we reach out. Saturn in Libra is where we reach out to others. So November 15th, those couple days, Saturn is changing signs. People say the 15th or 16th, whatever. It depends on the calculation, but it's a slow transit. It takes a few days for Saturn to actually get set up in the sign. About a week, actually, for him to hit that first degree. But this week is the big shift of Saturn moving into Libra, and you might be feeling it already. I know I'm feeling it. I have my moon in Libra, so I'm feeling it already myself. I'm feeling that sort of pressure. But the greatness of Saturn is it brings solitude, peace, strips away all the illusion. But it does that, or I should say the way it does it is by making us grow up and face the truth. Face the truth of reality. Face the truth that we're all alone. We have to make peace with our salvation in solitude. We have to be able to face ourselves. And in particular, Saturn is hard on the moon, which is where all of our falsity comes from. All of our immaturity comes from that desire to feel connected. Oh, I have this person, I have this thing, I have this connection. This is what makes me feel good, and that's real, that's eternal. Saturn comes along and goes, no, it's not. It's not eternal. It might make you feel good right now, but right now is not all there is. Because we're aware that everything is going to change, that we have no control. And Saturn makes us aware of that, and what we do as a result of that awareness brings out the greatness in our character, and that's the greatness of Saturn. So he'll be exalted for the next couple of years. He's going into Libra this week. And he's related a lot to Lord Shiva. Om Sham Shanischaraya Namaha. Om Sham Shanischaraya Namaha.